Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome. We're going to do a new segment here called Fixed It. Basically by the thumbnail and what you're looking at, you can tell we're going to do a transplant on a Generation 1 Jetfire. Basically, while we let the video roll, talk about what we're doing here. Obviously, doing things a little out of order here. This was actually the first video we filmed for this new channel, the Swish Pop. But of course, I knew this was going to be a bit of a longer video, so I did some of the other ones first. Anyways, duration of this video, I don't really want to bore you with watching me unscrew a bunch of screws from Jetfire, so we will be fast forwarding those segments at a blazing 5 times speed for you. Of course here, so we're going to do a lot of work on the old Jetfire first. It's basically just me figuring out how to take him apart. I've had no experience in doing this before, so it's kind of trial and error. Obviously the end game here is to transplant one of the arms off the kind of beater discolored Jetfire onto the other one. He's fairly in good condition, the one on the left. However, his arm is a little loose. So basically it's just me right now taking the old Jetfire completely apart, doing a little more than I actually need to do. When I was doing this, I didn't realize what I was getting into, so the Jetfire ends up in many pieces. And of course, one good rule of thumb when obviously taking some of this apart, you should always have a bowl to put the screws in. For some reason, I just never thought about that, and all the screws are just there on the table, ready to be lost. So hopefully all the screws are still there when we go to put it back together. Now, of course, over the course of this little operation, when I started, the idea was to transplant the arm to the other one. However, I quickly noticed that while it is definitely possible to do that, what will turn out to be a better solution, just fix the arm that is on it with some of the pieces from this beater Jetfire. So of course, now as we're taking a closer look at this, I'm trying to figure out, getting a closer idea of how things work and what's going to need to come off. So we'll see how everything goes. So let's put him to the side and see what else we can do here. Clean up a little bit. Don't lose any of those screws. And let's see what we can do with this Jetfire. Of course, he's in a little bit better condition than the other one. So, and let's speed up. So let's take the screws out. So basically, for long story, like backstory here, I had this beater Jetfire for years in my collection and always had plans to hopefully one day replace his arm. But anyways, long story short, recently I ended up with the other more white Jetfire in my collection, and of course I was like right away, well, this is awesome, so now I can finally possibly get a more complete Jetfire that would display nicely in my collection. So as we get into this, we've got the arm off the clean Jetfire and trying to figure out what is on the go with that. So basically the problem with the clean Jetfire was that his arm wasn't ratcheting properly. It was loose. You can see the arm joint is kind of hanging off. So it was, it was okay, but it needed to be replaced. So what I need to do is get into the innards of it to see how it actually works, because I'm unfamiliar with this at this point. I've never seen this before. This is uncharted territory for myself. First time ever trying to attempt to fix a Generation 1 Transformer caught live on video. So I mean, it's going pretty good. So you can see here the black thing kind of ratchets against the white plastic. Trying to figure it out, how to fix it. Basic as the video develops, I kind of tune into how to maybe fix it a little better. At least you guys can't see the smoke coming from my head as I'm trying to figure out how this thing actually works. We'll get there. Just a second. Of course, rookie YouTuber filming some stuff off camera as you're screwing stuff and trying to keep stuff in frame. Happens to the best of us, right? So let's put that aside. So it's this bolt kind of that, well, at this point, there's an item missing from this one. And I'm trying to play with this to see what is actually the idea of how this system works. So as I start to play with it, of course, you start to learn. And what happens here is the arm, lower part, falls apart because I'm holding it together, not knowing. And what happens is, oh wait, the shoulder, no, sorry, the elbow has the same function. It has one of those black items that ratchets against the white plastic. But what keeps the shoulder, or sorry, the elbow together is that there is a spring in there. And that was where I grabbed the old one and basically realized the idea that, there's a spring in there and that one works. So let's take the spring out and put it in the cleaner Jetfire arm. So of course at this point there's pieces everywhere, but I'm starting to clue in, well, you know, I think I might be able to do this, so I'm gonna have to change my plan a bit, but I'm getting this spring out of this arm, and we're gonna put it in the other one. Now of course this one had stickers on both sides, and knowing this was the beater one, I was fine with doing this, so I had to stick the screwdriver through the sticker and actually unscrew the arm, which, you know, is a weird sensation. You know, you don't usually break through vintage original stickers, but I knew that this Jetfire was going to be kind of super beater. It's down more pieces now, so I was fine with doing that. So basically, once I get this out here, you can see that I'll start to zoom in on the mechanism that does control the arm connecting to the body and kind of see how it really works. So, you know, once again, I'm basically stealing parts from this beater Generation One Jetfire, so I can basically end up with a pretty solid version of Jetfire for my own collection, and basically have, I guess, trade bait left over with the other Jetfire to possibly trade to somebody else that maybe they require parts, because there's still a lot of good parts on that other Jetfire to help complete their own Jetfire in their collection. So basically, yeah, the elbow here, I'm just trying to figure out how it all goes together, try to look like I know what I'm doing. Basically, I have to put some of it back together now, and I think this is where clue in finally to take the old Jetfire arm apart and steal the spring from it to basically keep that ratcheted arm together and allow it to work like it should work. So there goes the pieces, they're falling out all over the place. Steal that little itty bitty spring that's doing all the work and basically stick it in the cleaner Jetfire and give it its new life with a new brand new working ratcheting arm. So if the I don't have the audio on here, but sometimes when I'm moving those, you can hear the ratchet going like when it moves and stuff. So basically, let's get that spring on the part there and get this thing back up and running. Now, of course, my Jetfire is not. This clean Jetfire is not in perfect condition. There is actually a broken connector or like a cap on the shoulder, and that'll come up and play later. So, I mean, long story short, it's in way better condition than it was. No longer has the loose floppy arm when we do get to the end of this video, but it still needs a couple more pieces to really get into a better state. Anyways, so once that spring is put into place, we can snap it back there and see, once I get it finally in there, snap it back there and get the cover put on, and in an effort to try to get this thing in place. So picking that up, so many pieces to pick through now, and hopefully, I'm not even paying attention to see if the actual little black screws were different sizes. You know, not very organized here. Screwing this in, get it back up and running, and of course it's I think what happened here too is that, like, because this is the first time I've ever done this, I probably could have screwed the screw inside the arm a little tighter to give it just a little more tightness, but it was still way better than the floppy arm that you've seen at the beginning of the video. So I was still pretty happy with the situation. So anyways, just testing things out. So once I was happy with the screw in place and all the little black screws were in the arm, it was time to actually try to put the arm back on Jetfire. Now, as anyone who has actually ever held a Jetfire in their hands, he's a little floppy. Sometimes, you know, obviously I dare say there's mint ones out there, but most of the time they're a little floppy and they can flop around a little bit. So it gets a little difficult to put this stuff back on. And of course, to be honest with you, I really wasn't paying too much attention when I was taking him apart. So I really wasn't kind of sort of paying attention on how the metal connectors went into place. Like, I knew I had this video, so I mean, I had a detailed instructions on how I took it apart. So the idea here is you have to put this metal connector in the plastic arm to connect to his shoulder. So it only goes in one way. You know, you just have to make sure you're putting it obviously correctly, but it can only go one way. And then you put the screw back in to get it all locked in place. Now, once the screw does go in, it kind of solidifies the connection between that arm and everything. So once you get that going, you can try to attach it. And of course, it's kind of like the backpack of Jetfire there is what helps it stay in place. So basically you get it in its slots there, and once it eventually fits, it has a weird one. I think one side of the metal is longer, so it'll only go in kind of one way to fit properly. So once you get it in there, you basically just get it in a place where you want it to go. In theory, hoping that the plastic does not snap at any time, because we're dealing with 40-year-old plastic. So you know, it was pretty good. So we'll get some screws in here, and hopefully I know so that once you get the screws in the correct place, it holds the arm and the shoulder all together, and you basically end up with a Jetfire with a replaced arm. Now I'm checking here because I mean, my Jetfire is a bit floppy, so it feels like, you know, is it loose because I just replaced its arm, or is it loose because it's an old Generation 1 toy, right? So you're kind of like, what's on the go? So you can see the arm is not like 100% perfect, but it's like 95% perfect, way better than it was. So getting all this stuff out of place you can see that, you know, it's fairly good. I think, you know, you could probably take it off and you could probably give it a couple more ratchets and screw it in a little tighter, but overall, way better situation than we started. You can see here where the crack is in the shoulder placement, so it's not a solid shoulder fit, but it still works pretty good. Now, I didn't want to leave the Generation 1 other quote-unquote beater Jetfire in a bad state, because, you know, you're gonna lose parts and stuff. So I made sure I put them back together, minus that one spring obviously that I stole from the beater to put in the cleaner Jetfire. So I got his arm back together, and of course I think he has the same problem where one of his shoulder connectors is broken. I think it's a common break on the Jetfires. You know, it's just basically, you know, it was just a flaw in the mold. You got like die-cast metal connected with plastic and stuff, so, you know, many times when the transform stuff gets twisted and snaps off, right? So getting his backpack put back together with the wings on, it gave me some trouble obviously, because once again, like I said, I didn't really document how I took him apart, but, you know, you've only got so many pieces, so they only go back to in a certain way. Once you get like the colors lined up, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. You know what he looks like. So it was basically just some trial and error, and got all the pieces lined up correctly. And then it was just a case of taking those screws one by one and putting them back in the correct spots. You end up with a backpack. It looks pretty cool. Then you basically, like I said before, now once again, keep in mind, this beater Jetfire is in really bad condition. So basically, he's in really bad condition, but you get the, once again, it's like more practice, the metal parts put back together. You know, I just wanted to make sure I didn't lose any of the parts. So I put the arm, you know, the arm parts, I'm missing the arm in there, and put them back together. And basically, whenever he goes back together, it's just a piece of trade bait for somebody else to possibly take some pieces from and complete their Jetfire. Feel free to reach out and contact me if you're interested in that Jetfire. As of filming, he's still in my possession. So basically, there we have it, the two Jetfires. One on the left has a new arm spring, and the one on the right is the beater one. The one on the left obviously has some more armor on him. So he's in my collector case right now. And then there's a close-up problem with the shoulder right there. Anyways, that's it. If you have any questions, please leave the comments below. Thanks again. Well, that's the video. Thanks for watching. If you happen to enjoy the video, think about leaving a like and possibly subscribing so you don't miss any more videos. As well, if you're in a position to help the channel grow, please think about joining either Honey or Ebates. They can help you save money on your next online purchase. The links are in the description below.